Hey guys, sorry I was on mute. I basically introduced our chief guest today. So Ms. Medha Kulkarni, she is basically the conducting this session today. It's a full 1 hour session. She has graciously accepted us to spend this hour today and teach us some of this fine art to basically walk us through this 1 hour session. With that, let me introduce you to Ms. Medha here. So Ms. Medha.
Hi everyone. Hope all of you are doing good. And I'm Medha, and I'll be your art teacher for the Zentangle Mandala art today. And welcome to the Zoom session. I hope you guys have a good time. And we can, if everybody's here, we can start with the art cam. So you can switch to that.
So here are the rules before we start. So we basically have a full house. So we will not, pretty much all the participants will be in the mute mode. If anybody has questions, please feel free to use the chat button for any questions. This would be a 60-minute session from start to finish. So hopefully we'll be starting at about 7:05, finish at about 8:05. With that said, so once we are done with the session, we basically would request you guys to stay on so you can take a complete picture. Graciously thanks, Ms. Medha for doing this for ICS. So as you guys know, not feel free, but we'll encourage you to basically go out on the Facebook page, Instagram page, and make sure you like ICS, start following ICS, if you don't already do. So with that said, all over to you, Ms. Medha. We'll probably meet after 60 minutes and have a group together with the ICS family members. So we can basically publicize our work here.
Sure. All yours. Sounds good. Sounds good. So yeah, let's start. This is what the final image is going to look like. And this is the template what most of you have. So before we start this, it's going to be a dream catcher. So for the current situation we are in, let's just wish for a happier, healthier time for everyone. And let's dream of better health for everyone. And hopefully the lockdown gets over soon. And let's start. So just before I start, I just wanted to let you guys know that don't panic if you miss out on any single step, because what is going to happen is, like, towards the end of the class, I will be sending out an image of the entire painting. So all of them are very small, simple designs. Even if you miss out on a single area or something, you will always be able to catch up on your own later, seeing the final image. And if we can have some time towards the end, you'll get some time to finish it, maybe, hopefully. Otherwise, you can finish it on your own, looking at the image that I send you. Okay, so with that, we'll start. Let's start with the top. Okay, if anybody of you, whoever has a paper napkin with you, please hold it under your right hand. So the pencil like this, so your hands won't smudge the pencil drawings that you, or pencil marks that you do. Mother, just a plain paper there. And with that, we'll just start by filling in the topmost center design, like completely, the petals that you see there. Yeah. So the center will look like this. After that, we'll start drawing a double line for the design. And also we'll draw a double line towards the outside of the petal. You can make it a little thicker if you want. Fill in the center. And then draw parallel diagonal lines. For now, just like we'll move on to the feathers, because in that is going to be the intricate part. So for the center circle, all of this, I'll just show you a sample of sample design, and then we'll do that on our own. So that way, even if we fall short of time later on, you have a sample to follow all around that area. Okay, so just do one petal. I'll wait for a couple of minutes, and then we'll move on to the other circle. And just draw circles between the petals. After that, we will start with, we'll do one more of this pattern here. So draw a double line. And do a very light center line and draw a drop kind of a shape, and two more drops in like a leaf shape at the bottom, and two more at the bottom. And we'll start the spiral somewhere around the center of the triangle, and then just go all around till it fills up the entire space. If your spiral design is a little bigger or shorter than what I have in this design, it doesn't matter. It's Zentangle, so everything is all right. Nothing, there's no right or wrong. And after that, we'll just fill up the background behind the drops that we have done. So we'll just do one of these triangles, and we are going to come back to the whole semicircle mandala back again, because our feathers are going to be the main intricate part, which I want to make sure that everybody finishes along with me on the Zoom video. And we'll, like, after we are done with the feathers, we'll come back to finishing all the parts that we are doing in the semicircle. And so whatever, like after this, let's move on to the outermost circle, where right below the center triangle, you're going to draw a U with another U. And just as a sample, just draw one or two more on either side. So 3 U's with another smaller U in between. And fill up the smaller U's completely dark, and the space between 2 U's also. I'll just wait for a couple of minutes and then we'll move on to the feathers. They're going to be fun. So I'm just going to move the paper so you see more of the feather area now. And we are going to start with the spiral that is towards your left hand side, your left. So we'll start by just drawing bold dots around that. You can fit in as many as you fancy and you think good. And you can add a couple of big circles and a couple of small thick dots over the string. You can fill up some. All right. I think we can start with the next string with the feather on. So let's draw a couple of decorative beads on the string. You can even do some different design on the strings if you like. The number of beads or the number of dots and circles on the strings can vary. And after that, we'll start off with this feather. We'll start with the topmost left side of the feather, which is going to be just a series of bold dots. Which is just going to be a series of bold dots here. And in the lower half of that section, you just draw small circles. You can probably fit in 2 or 3. And fill in the background of the lower half dark around the circles. I'll wait a couple of minutes after every design just to give everyone enough time to finish. Okay. So the next section under this one will be a series of triangles that are, we can start with a triangle pointing down and fit in a triangle next to it that points up. So series of reverse triangles pointing up and down, and they will taper as they go towards the end of the section because the shape tapers, and fill those triangles up completely dark. We'll wait a minute for everyone to finish and then start with the next one. So the next one, we are going to draw a very light center line in the shape of the shape. And again, draw leaf-like drops on either side of the center line to make it look like a leaf. And fill up the entire background dark around the leaf. I'll wait for a minute and I'll try and zoom in so you see more clearly. So the next one is the simplest. All you have to do is kind of do a very thick center line in the shape of the outer shape. So it'll look like that. Below that, in this section, if you can try and fit in 3 dewdrops, that will be good. If not, even 2 are good. Like you can try and fit in 2 or 3 and fill the remaining background dark. Okay. So the leaf, the feather part at the bottom, again, we are just going to draw a dark center in the shape of the form and give thick dots all around the inner edge of the feather. Okay. With that, I think we can, let's move to the right side of the left feather. So draw a very light center line again in the shape of the form, and let's fill that with a series of hearts. And fill the entire background dark around the heart. So up close, it looks like this. So the second section again has triangles, only slightly different. It's going to be all mountain shapes, like tapering to the top. With a dot between the triangle and the background, like above the mountain tops, we are going to fill it dark. So it will look like this up close. The one after that, we are going to just fill the lower part of that shape all dark. There are two sections. So the thin lower section, we are just going to fill it up all dark. Like this. And in the center section, we are going to draw like a wavy triangle kind of a thing in the shape of the outer shape, almost parallel to the outer shape. Make it a thick line. And the center will fill it up with a dark bar space and another dark bar. As many as you can fit in or not. Any number is fine. So it looks like this up close. The next section is going to be upside down views. With a dark center line. And if you have space, try and fill up the top of the U's, the background, a little darker. So it looks like this. The shape under that is going to have dots of like thick and thin dots, like just a thin dot and then a little bolder dots. So you can start by thin dots and then variations of thick and thin. So it looks like this. So now the second spiral thread after the first feather is going to be pretty much similar to the first spiral that we did. The only variation is you can change the number of dots or circles because the string is longer. So you can just freehand it or however way you like it. Okay, or you can just follow along. So I'm just doing dots all around it, and we'll do a few thicker dots and maybe a circle with a few smaller dots again, and a big circle with a darker circle in between, and a few dots again. So it looks like this. And you can repeat the same string pattern you can do with a few more dots or circles on the center feather, like for the thread of the center feather. Whenever you move the paper, make sure you have your paper napkin or some kind of paper under your hand so you don't smudge the lead pencil mark all over your paper. So I'll wait a minute before we start on to the center feather for everyone to catch up. So let's start with the center feather. Again, start from the left. That way we minimize the smudges on paper. Let's start towards the center of the top section. We are going to try and do two squiggly lines that are parallel to each other. And you still have to keep a bit of space on the top and the bottom. And then fill the background with darker U's or inverted U's on the top side, U's, and inverted U's at the bottom. So it looks like this. The one below that, again, we are going to draw one single squiggly line and fill the bottom with dark. So it looks like this. So the next pattern could be a little complex for maybe few. So I'll zoom in a couple of times at every step of this part. So draw a very light center line. And on that center line, towards the lower side of the section, we are going to start with, let's call it a series of wave kind of a pattern built onto the center line. So up close, it looks like this. And once you get that, those series, let's call it a series of waves, right, the drawing will fill up the top part of dark. And towards the lower edge, we are just going to give thick dots on the inner side of the edge or the outline. So it looks like this up close. In the next section, we are just going to draw ovals right next to each other, or like one behind the other. They taper as the shape tapers towards the end. Fit in as many as you can, and after that, just fill the tip of the shape and fill the background around the ovals all dark. So up close, it looks like this. The next one is the thinnest one. So we can just fill it up with alternate bars of dark and light space. So it looks like this. Now we are going to treat the center, bottom, right and left as a combined design together. So considering this as the center line, we are just going to draw upside down hearts that recede as the shape tapers below. Recede in size as the shape tapers. And give the hearts a slightly darker edge by just going over it a couple of times. So you get a thicker line or a bolder line. And all the pointed tip part of it, you can just fill it dark and fill the Left side of the heart, background all dark, and on the right side we are going to do horizontal stripes later, so don't fill it up completely dark on the right side. So on one side it is the background is completely filled up all dark, and that's the closer view. And on the right hand side, we'll just fill it up with diagonal parallel lines in the background. As many as you can fit in, and it looks like this up close. There's an icon popping here. There's an icon bouncing there. Click. Okay. So let's move to the right side of the feather, the top side. Again, we will draw outline closer to the edge. You can make it slightly thicker by going over it a couple of times. And fill it up with alternate dark and light bars. More like a zebra crossing. So it looks like this. Okay. In the lower thinner section, we are going to do a series of, let's call it snails following each other in a row. So we'll just draw a spiral or a snail shell. Fill the tip dark. Up close, it looks like this. Yeah, it looks like this. And the top side of the spiral or the snail shapes, we are going to fill it dark. Like this. For the next one, we'll draw a very thin center line following the shape that it is. And again, draw leaf-like dewdrops or almond drops on either side of the center line to make a leaf kind of a shape. And fill the background dark. So it looks like this. Now the next section has two subsections. So first we will start by drawing upside down views in this thinner section here. And fill above the space above the views as completely dark. So it looks like this. And in the lower section, this part, we are just going to draw stripes, slightly curvish, slightly more curved. So two thin ones with maybe a little bit more space in between, and then another thin one close by. And then leave another thick space and draw two thin lines close to each other with a little more space, and two lines close to each other. Leave a little wider space and two thin lines again next to each other, and fill the tip all dark. In the center, in the second thicker area, you're going to draw as many circles as you can comfortably fit in, either 2 or 3, and fill that background dark. So it looks like this, and we are going to do this for alternate thick bars. So leave one white entirely, the thick section, and do the next one should be filled dark with circle in between. As it tapers, the number of circles you can fit in reduces. Leave one thick bar white, and then the next one, if you can fit in a circle, do that. Otherwise, just fill it completely dark. So it looks like this. After that, in the last section that is left for this center feather, we are just going to draw a series of mountains pointing up, one behind other. And fill the mountains dark this time. Oh, sorry. Draw a small circle in between, and we'll fill the triangles around the circle dark. And if you don't have space to draw the circle, just even if you fill the entire triangle dark, that is fine too. Between the triangles, again, we'll do slightly thicker, bolder dots. So it looks like this up close. And next, let's start with the spiral thread again. It's going to be the repeat pattern of the other two spirals. So you can follow along with me or do it on your own. We'll just do series of bold dots all around the spiral. And maybe mark our big circles first. And the top, and the rest of the empty spaces for you to fill up with dots, as many as you think look good. So it looks like this. And do the same for the thread above the last feather left. Just do a leaf shape and an anchor circle at the top and a bead. I'll wait a couple of minutes and then we will start with the top section here. So the last leaf, we will start with the left side, and we are going to try and fit in two slightly off-centered, not exactly in a same line, circles. Even if they go out towards the edge, it's fine. And then we'll fill it up with dark dots in the circle. And fill the background around the circle should be all dark too. So it looks like this up close. And the one below is the easiest. You just have to fill it up all dark. Below that, again, we are going to draw a very light center line and draw upside down hearts again. As many as you can fit in, and fill the rest of it all black around the heart. So it looks like this. Sorry, yeah. It looks like this up close. And the one below that, we will just draw a few circles, one behind another. And fill the background dark. So it looks like this. The center section, or the lower bottom of this leaf, of this feather, is going to be a little unsymmetrical, so everybody might get a little, depending on how you space the lines, you might not get it exactly as I'm drawing, and that is okay. In Zentangle, it doesn't have to be exact, so you can follow along, and if it doesn't look, if the spacing between your lines doesn't look like the way I'm drawing, that's fine too. So we'll start with 2 thin lines on the left side, and slightly lower on the other side, we'll have 2 diagonal lines going the other way, slightly thinner. Then draw maybe 2 thick lines and 1 line again. You can just actually just go as you like it, because it's going to be hard to tell how much space and distance to keep. So just do what looks right to you. And at the tip, just fill the tip dark. Don't fill every section dark, but a couple of sections you can, like both the sections at the top and then a few other in between, you can fill them dark. If you want to add a few, you can. And you don't have to have as many dark or light, dark or light sections as I do. As long as you are like happy with the design that's formed, it's good on your paper. On the right hand side now, again at the top, we'll draw 3 circles, one behind other, with a dot in between and a dark background. Let's try and speed up a bit so we have more time to work on the top semicircle mandala design together if we can. And if not, you already have a sample each, so you can just copy it if at all. The lower section, we'll just start by making the outline a little darker by going over the outline and fill up with a alternate dark and light pattern bar like a zebra crossing in the center section. I'll show you up close both the sections. So it looks like this. In the lower section, let's draw a series of curved lines, more like mirror images of sea. And in every alternate section, if you can fit in a dot or two, try to do that. And we'll just leave that one simple like that on the lighter side. The one below that, we'll start by doing a dark dot at the top side of the section and draw 2 parallel curved lines around it like this. And for the next dark dot, we'll start at the bottom this time now, right next to the curved line and the lower bottom, lower edge of the section, and draw 2 parallel, 2 curved lines around it. And we'll go alternate, like the dark spot if it was below first, now it will come to the top, followed by 2 curved lines around it. And then again, the dark dot comes to the bottom with 2 dark curved lines around it. Alternates to go to the top side again with 2 parallel lines around it, and fill up the tip all dark. So it looks like this. I'll wait for a minute. If somebody has finished this pattern, you can start off with the spiral last section of thread that is left. And I'll start off with that in a minute. I'll just wait for, this was comparatively complex design, so I'll just give it a minute. Okay. So the next one is again, like all the other spiral threads, you just do dark dotted lines all around the spiral. Sorry, dark dots, not lines, dark dots all around the spiral. And mark your big circles first, maybe as many as you like, and the anchor, and then fill in as many dark dots as you like. Okay. So with that, in a minute, we'll come back to the top section of the mandala, like the dream catcher, where with the semicircles, and we're all done with the feathers. And if at all anybody has any feather section left, don't worry, I will be sending a completed image for all of you to finish what you have, if anything is incomplete for the feather section. And with that, I think we should start with back with the semicircles. Most of you have an example in every section. So if you want, you can start off on your own or follow along with me. So again, we'll draw a center line and fill in the dark area, and start with diagonal lines here. And draw a dark center inside the, I don't know what shape to call, U shape. And to complete a outline around the petal, slightly thicker by going over it a couple of times. All around the petal. And for the other 2 petals that are left, just fill it up with diagonal lines now parallel to each other. So it looks like this. We are going to start drawing a double line for this triangular kind of a shape that we have. Oh, sorry. And for the incomplete section, just draw, you will not see both sides. You will just, just draw a slightly angled almond shape things, then fill it up with dark. Because of the heavy different printers, this thing, you might have a slightly empty background at the top or bottom, I mean around the edge of the paper. So if you have that, you can decide to just kind of eyeball it and into a straight line, or if you want, you can just fill it up all together. And then continue with all the remaining triangles the same way. Fill it up all dark at the background. So for every triangle, before you start, you will have an outline, a very light center line to build your leaf kind of petal shape around it. And you're going to fill it up dark in the background. The spiral again, you start more or less towards the center of the triangular shape that you have, and fit in as many lines as you can. So remember to give an outline for every triangular shape with a light center line. Build your leaf with drops and fill the background. I'll wait a minute and then I'll start off with the outermost U-shape design that we have. Looks like this up close, the triangle and spiral section of it, or the top center of the semicircle designs. Later on, you can also fill these circles completely dark. Oh, sorry. Yeah. And If you want to make this line a little really, really dark, you can go over it all over again. My hand is going to cover for a minute. Yeah. The dark outline will make it more interesting. A few thick and thin lines or dark or light patterns make it more interesting. After that, I'm going to start off with the, let's call it views, a series of views. So better to start from the center outwards on both the sides. That way you don't have a different shape, like different empty space left in between. So on the left hand side, you're going to go left to right, and from the right side, you're going to go build up right to left towards the top. And always remember to keep paper under your hand so you don't get oil or sweat or smudge the pencil marks on the feathers that we've completed below. So I'm going to just start on the right. It's going to be 2 U's, one with another. You can either do both the U's simultaneously or finish off the larger U first and then fill up whatever suits you. And you can even fill up the center U dark with the bottom space dark. There are a lot of repetitive patterns in mandala art or Zentangle. I guess that's what gives it a very meditative quality. So we continue with the use on the other side. Okay. So while you guys are working on the use, I'm just going to start adding dots around the outer edge of the semicircle. So for everyone to see, and if anybody is done with the use, you can start doing the same. So just draw thick dots all around the circle. If you want to space it under every U, you can, or if you want to space it to your fancy, like every alternate U or more or less, that is fine too. And we'll finish the dots on the other side as well. Yep. So that is how the center semicircle looks. Past the Zoom class, after we are like on your own, if you want to fill in an accent color, you can either in just some areas, or however you like it. You can use just one accent color, or you can use a lot of colors. It's up to you. And there's just one thing I forgot, a few circles in this ring that goes there. So we are going to do alternate big and small circle. Yeah. Yeah. So we are done. And with this, we can wait. We can, yeah, like probably you guys can take a few more minutes to finish it.
If anybody has questions, obviously you can feel free to do on chat, or now that Medha has a bit of breath, if you want to ask questions by unmuting yourself or put on a chat, that would be a good time. And would be also a good time for us to have a group pick for all of us. Sanjeev, you want to do the honors? To request everybody to have their videos on, and that's the ICS tradition style. Sanjeev, you on? Or I could do the, there you go. I can see all the hair coming through well, and there you go. All right.
Yeah. Awesome session. Guys, I see a lot of beautiful pictures around me. I see my daughter has been painting. My wife has been painting as well. So I'm
That's
sort of
nice.
in the picture. So awesome work, Medha and kids. I guess it's about time to take picture. I guess you all have been
Yep.
waiting. So
Look at the
Yep.
beautiful faces out there.
while we are doing that, make sure you hold your picture right next to your faces. I have a blank one. There you go. I printed extra copies, so just make sure you hold it straight.
Don't hide behind the picture.
And
I see some. There you go.
And make sure you all know, make sure to like the Facebook page and turn on your cameras. Before you take a picture, make sure you guys turn on your camera. Awesome. Shweta, Nikita, Rija, I need to see your, I need to see the pictures. Turn on your cameras. You ready? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Almost done. Great job, guys. Great job. Wonderful. All right.
Just one thing, if anybody has anything incomplete, don't forget, I will email you the completed design. So don't worry, you will be able to finish it off on your own. So, yeah.
Thank you, Medha. And again, I'll you guys already know the Facebook link and everything. ICS Medha. Again, I will paste the Facebook link here. Make sure you guys go and start following. Because we'll be coming up with more exciting work during this COVID days and beyond that as well. So stay tuned. All the information is there on the Facebook page. So thank you everyone for joining.
And
Medha, will you want to talk about your upcoming sessions?
I'll be having a lot of upcoming Zoom classes or Facebook Live classes. So make sure you follow my Facebook page, Medha Art Studio, and Instagram, Artist Medha. So I'll keep you updated, and I have your emails. When I send you this, I can also send you my information about my upcoming classes. So yeah, hope to see you all.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Stay safe.